So you can either start out with the drape that you did yesterday, or if you like to start over from the beginning, the first steps would be the same as but the starting point would be the same. It's also it's not a bad thing to from the point of seeing this as kind of a croquis lesson, or draping as croquis. I think it's very good if you both sort of switch so that you drape in your pair of ropes, but maybe also during these days if you shift working partners, it can be quite informative to work on different bodies to see. So just pinning the leg we did yesterday in position. This is still sort of the raw cut here. So first I need to marker. First I need then to define the so we could have something to put more foot. I think maybe that's a bit high. If you look for give it another try. We can see if now that will be tricky.
Do you mind working a little bit? So this one. Yeah.
And doing these things, this could then be a way to find out different shapes here for different movements, and still now we got this, and so you can I think this I would like to have it I'm doing this first cut. We don't really have enough fabric here. We do like this first for defining this first cut here.
You can also maybe put his leg on these, if you want to.
Yeah, let's maybe soon. Oh, do this first. you now where's your knee? Sorry, no, not your knee. Then we're gonna look at this knee. There's a knee bending ideation. And then you see we have a point here where the fabric sort of drapes or folds. Somewhere around here, so I'll cut from there until sort of here somewhere. And then our seaming will go something like this, and then this fabric will come up here. And
why don't you cut it all the way to the knee point?
Because it's I could, but
It would
I
maybe.
see it's sort of the knee. It's quite a flat
Yeah.
area out here, and it's like if you do, it's like if you do a traditional bust dart, you don't really take that all the way to the nipple, but you stay a bit outside because it's kind of a bit of nicer shape.
Yeah.
And then it's also quite just for the knees and elbows. It's also quite nice. Well, I rather not have any seams if I can avoid it, just on top of the. And my first cut is always even. I don't go all the way to start out with. Then have the possibility of kind of to shape things here a bit, and kind of the easy way out here, or a normal thing, maybe just to be to make a dart like this. Now we're coming with this fabric here. Let's see, so I don't do things. Don't know what I'm doing. It's real. I haven't done this in ages. And then you see we have all these folds down here. Put this up. This. Then I kind of need to address a point here at the back on the, what do you say? Elbow? Knä, knee.
Ja, det kan det godt.
And then all that tension is released here. mean, now I do sort of quite rough sculpturing to start out with, and it's like first either I put the fabrics on top of each other, or often first I put them on top of each other, and then from that I go to sort of folding the seam allowances.
What about the
afterwards.
folds on the thigh? Do you like address them?
Up here?
Yeah.
You could say if you do some things for a wheelchair user, which will never stand up.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. One little, yeah. So then roughly here, I make the, going from sort of very rough, having loads of seam allowances, and for each, you see, first we had all these wrinkles, both the top and the bottom, and then sort of by cutting in towards this point, the wrinkles sort of release and the fabric sort of falls in position. And keep in mind, as what I talked about yesterday, that this is about finding and defining shapes, sort of with seams. So the outer edges of your fabrics most of the time doesn't really mean anything, but you, by cutting into things, you shape what you're working with. And for each time I cut things away, and if I move, then I move things around, pivots around, and refine stuff. But it doesn't happen by itself. So if you please, so now you see, now we have this sort of pre-shaped thing here, and here on the inside, then there's no seams at all. Then one, and then it very tricky thing about shaping things like this is also that when one moves, when one stands sort of relaxed, this seam here is a bit below the knee. If I like this, then it's pulled up. So we're sort of doing a sculpture in a semi rigid material, the fabric which stretches to a certain point, and then we move around inside it. So,
but that's something I've been wondering a bit actually, because like I understand this technique is very helpful. For example, if it's for like someone in like a Formula One car or in a wheelchair where they're not moving around, but if you drape a trouser leg so it fits perfectly when he's standing with his leg up, but then it's gonna fit weirdly when he stands down, or like you can't, like, isn't it?
yeah, but it's like anything. It's like a classic straight pair of trousers.
Yeah.
Then you have kind of, I don't know, and then there's also kind of what is fit. One can discuss like this. Is fit something that doesn't have any folds? I wouldn't really agree, because I think sort of a kimono can fit beautifully.
Yeah.
I don't know, a lot more. So and and that is of course often the shape when doing it, and I think that's also one of the big advantages of working on a living person, because I've often seen examples of students or professional designers sort of building static dress styles in other poses, which can be helpful, but it's kind of, and we still have a static body. And what we're able to do here is we can see, well, we can drape it like this, and then we can come back to this here and say, maybe it pulls in a funny way. We're standing in this position, and then I need to readjust things, and then we can see maybe, I think we need to be able to sort of have a movement. So then we'll move around and see things. So please give this a try. This could be done in. The important thing here is, I don't know if the one I'm wearing, you see the one I'm wearing is done the other way around. So here the cut is on the inside, where I then came from here. How did I do that? Yeah, I addressed the knee going the other way around here. I kind of prefer personally this, because then we have the movement on the fabric, and it could also be, I don't know what I prefer. It's all up to for the function, really. Theoretically, we could go here and all the way around and down. And in real life, we might end up with, after we've done this, putting in another seam somewhere, or creating a dart, or cutting the leg off totally. So see this more as an exercise of draping in, and I like to see this whole idea of having the pattern in one piece. It's don't see it as a dogma or as some limitation, or that's the point. I rather kind of like to see it as it's just like beautiful. It's more like a beautiful equation, like mathematicians talks about. It's like a beautiful proof of something, that it's sort of just one way to explain things, which comes out sort of quite beautifully, but there's other ways of solving the problem as well, and sometimes this could be the best solution, but very often, due to practical reasons, or that we might have other things to include in our sort of design brief, it might be not. But put your leg together and then have a look at the wrinkles which is created here and here. You can either do like this, or you can also do this, and it doesn't have, or it can be, doesn't have to be much. It's more like now that you get to try it, and we can go back and refine this, for example, after you tried it out once. So, I mean, as you all been testing out, I've scissors, and as I've been talking about it, I would normally start with sort of quite rough drapings like this outwards, and gradually trim things in position, and then for getting the final, as I also talked about yesterday, for getting the final pattern shape together, then when you sort of define your cuts and trimmed away enough fabric for seeing the actual shape, and someone of you asked like, oh, if this is an uneven edge or anything, I mean, everything is up to you to shape. So if you want it in another way, then if you want it straight, then you cut it straight. If you want it to be uneven, then you cut it uneven. You're the directors, and I'll say I'm satisfied with this shape here, and then I've trimmed down my excess fabric, and I sort of do the final then instead of having the seam allowances outwards, I fold them inwards to have a defined, more realistic looking seam line like this. When I was, the man who taught me to do sort of classic draping, he told me that he always, or like in the French tradition, he always put in the pins in 45 degrees to the seam angle to have the least sort of bad distortion of if you put it in like this or that. Am I putting in like this, you don't really get the, I don't know, that's what he told me. I'll still do it like that. it seems to work for me.
Tak.
Pinning things in like this gives us a much cleaner and sort of closer to a sewn, closer to a stitched, final stitching, the look of a final stitched garment. But not that suitable when sort of for finding the shapes. Opinion to you now. So then, and then I might, when seeing it like this, I might want to change things again, or
Would you always pin it together? You wouldn't just try and sew it and then look at it?
yeah, possibly. Normally I first pin it together, then I stitch it together.
Yeah.
And then and either I do the actual toile and now mark these lines and trim down the seam allowance to something which is even, and then I stitch it together with always with as long stitches as possible on the sewing machine, so I can take it apart again. Or I make a pattern of it and maybe make some adjustments and then make it swap again. So it's pinning or stitch. I mean, as long as once I taken it apart and cutting it down with a seam allowance and stitching it, then I have less possibilities of changing. So it's sort of for me it's different stages in the process, and that process might also incorporate me taking it into the computer and work on it in Clo, or I might do everything sort of 100% ready before I eventually might do that. So, and then I mark, most of the time I use a marker pen to just draw along the edges like this, and remember to mark, to have notches about every 15-20 centimeters, and mark your notches with letters and numbers. And this is a bit, of course, depending on what I'm doing, how exact I am with the markings. Say if I would be sometimes this level of accuracy is totally fine. Sometimes I need to be sort of on the millimeter with a small pencil, just making, and then I go like just making dots like this with a sharpened pencil, this is more the traditional way of